Here we are again, live. So I'm just gonna keep hammering with this message, until people get it, because it works. There's no one coming at me, no arguing in this court. So use it if you're having a situation that you're dealing with. Put this message in there. See if people can get their mind wrapped around it. Step up, so we can start getting our mirror and paying attention to all our threes down here. I missed explaining in Bible confusion. It says, yield to Caesar what is Caesar's and keep what is God for you. So the debunkers will say, well, that's the Bible tricking you into paying taxes, to the man, to the system. But what does it really mean? It's because that law is being broken. Therefore, you do have to pay taxes to Caesar. That's the Babylonian system. So we talked about why that all exists for that one rule. So yeah, you do need to pay taxes. We say it all the time. We're paying the cop's salary because we're breaking that rule. So that makes sense. If you want to go down the legal road, it is useful to get in charge of your body. That's what that whole game is. When you come out of your mother's canal, the state's right there with your number and your certificate. But a good one there is the redemption manual. It's a lot of words, but just pour over them until that resonates with you, that you occupy the office of the executor or executrix, if you're female, in your temple, in your body. There's a lot of good books out there, but they're all saying the same thing, but they don't add that part about the one law. So that's where people are going to get stuck going down that path. It's good. You want to have this status, correct that with the state, but you got to correct it. The real estate is that one, state of mind. And you get that just internally. There's no magic forms out there. You can do some stuff. I got my birth certificate authenticated and all this, but it was just that the act of doing that was what the real prize was. It was all up here. So, when you're dealing with the police, for whatever reason, that is the only law that they can enforce. It's so simple. Traffic violations are not crimes. You could simply say you don't answer questions. And if that cop knows what's going on, they'll just walk away. You can look that up on YouTube, how that works. But there's suggestions. All those stoplights, and as long as you're not harming anyone else, there's no injured party, you're free to go about your business. Is there a crime here, officer? Am I free to go? And a lot of people talk about this public and private. It doesn't make any sense out on the set. You're in a public space, but what's private is your internal world. But trying to classify that out there, you're just going to get confused. The public, and that's like PU, the polls, it's like a lower status. That's why I got the public library. Benjamin Franklin said, what kind of government? He said, it's a republic if you can keep it. But we're John Q. Public altogether. We are our own real law system, because that's the only way you can break that law is by hurting each other, someone out there. Some of these buildings from the past civilizations that were so advanced, they just don't make sense. Like, look at the Taj Mahal. They're all over the plane. I looked into Versailles in Paris. It's got 700 rooms, 1,100 fountains, and there's one bathroom. And that's for the tourists that go there and see it now. So whatever was living here before didn't have to worry about public sanitation. There's great videos when the cities got filled in again. They had a big stink problem in these cities because they didn't have sanitation built. So that was a reset, and then the little people come in there eating and doing all our toilets and stuff. So the evidence is there on the set that there are other possibilities for human existence. Someone said, well, they were master movers of water. Fountains, You know, look at all the Trevi fountains in Italy. You know, that stuff it's breathtaking. A lot of people, you know, you don't have to pay your utility bills; they're already paid. When you use a credit card, they send you a statement of what. So if a plumber comes and unplugs your sink, he gives you a bill because there were services rendered, right? He's expecting payment for that. But when you use, you know, a lot of people go into a called a Sesta KV. You know, it is a trust. That's where all the money comes from. So people worry about Bill Gates and this chip and tracking your purchases. That's what that is, just a reflection of that, because we're unlimited energy, because we are God, right? It's right there with us, just through, you know, deduction. That's how we arrived at that. We looked everywhere on the stage, but that is the proof that is projecting out there. Your observer is that powerful that makes all that stuff, the whole show out there. You know, it's the topic of all topics, is what Don Juan called it, Carlos Castaneda. You know, the question of all questions. It's the quest of Ion. It's the real question. You know, the other Alan Watts with the S, you know, people are worried about what they're supposed to be doing, and all these roles, but he said just being alive, that's the first miracle. Just do that one first. The fact that you are alive. Appreciate that. That is the miracle. Everything after that is just gravy, you know, to enjoy and to learn. Someone must have been out of shape about the Starbucks logo. Is there anything really there? I didn't see any. You know, sinister is that a bad word, right? Sinister, but it's a sister. That's in. Sinister. It's the left hand. It's just the female version. Why would we say, oh, that's a sinister thing? But it's really not. You know, this culture that we live in is guaranteed to create scarcity, when Creator provides everything for us in abundance. But it's an artificial environment because people are hoarding stuff. You know, everything is set up that, you know, fossil fuels, of course that's all fake. You know, why are there homeless people? Because it's guaranteed part of this civilization that we participate in, that we choose to participate in. You know, they always ask you, you know, where do you live? They want to know that address. They want to see who's home. But where do you really live? In your body, right? Wherever you go, there you are. That's your home, and that's your property. Is that your body? So get used to that. I said, you know what? When I pull up on the side of the road, what, I'm supposed to give these people money so they can go get booze, and I said, just look them in the eye. That's the greatest gift, right? That humanity. That there's someone there. That they are you, you are them. You know, that goes a long way. So don't be afraid to look at, because if you turn your eyes away from something, then you're sort of breaking the law there, right? You're just saying that person is not good enough. They're different than me. You know, it's kind of subtle ways that comes up. It's, you know, walk a mile in their shoes, right? That's what we always say. So, you know, try it. Who runs the world? How far up does that cabal go? You know, the juice. That's juice. Juice as well. Protocols of Zion. Propaganda. But it's really just a description of Babylon. That's what happens to people when they lose sight of their Creator, and they wander down there. So it's just telling you what's going on. I mean, it's real in that sense, symbolically. You know, people get into Anne Frank and all the Holocaust stuff. Yeah, it's part of the stage. Like, every character is accounted for. They give you the good guys, they give you the bad guys. You know, Lenin said they just must never know that their culture could go any direction. People were into Orwell, 1948. All this stuff was going on then. It always is. But yeah, you know, Orwell had a different name, right? It's that committee that writes all those books. Animal Farm, So if we're farming animals, well, that's what happens to us, because that's symbolic projection of what we're participating in. Um, I mean, still with this BLM, is that going to go away? Yeah, eventually we'll get bored. Someone said they're going to bring the terrorists back. You know, they only got so much space on that projector to keep you scared, but you're volunteering to participate in that because you're watching it. And you're giving all your manifestation powers to that, to scare yourself. So we know how to deal with that. If you're in a job, you know, and you're not working for the federal government, you're not an employee, and they're not an employer. You're just a worker, and you are entitled to all your wages. Now, if, you know, 1040, right? That's what truckers say, 1040. If you're filling that out and they're taking that money from you, just send a letter, handwritten letter. The IRS in Puerto Rico, right? Because that's not a state, it's a territory, but that's the real IRS. And, you know, they're using all that legalese. If you want to get in that Black's Law dictionary, get the 6th edition. That's the right one. But, you know, you must, a lot of that, you must. But must just means we suggest. They're just testing you for that. But just write that letter, say, send me back my money. And they will. There are other forms you can file with your so-called employer who doesn't know they're not an employer, but you got to hassle with them, right? There's a lot of dead layers as you go in there. I experienced that going into clerk of courts. I was trying to get stuff filed on the record. They had no idea what I was talking about. But what happens in one state applies to all the states. So you don't need to study all the different state laws. If it applies to one, it works in all the other ones. So that's a shortcut there. Cut through that red tape. So yeah, I was like, well, let's look at those tarot cards. What are they going to roll out next? You know, the Simpsons, they told a lot of truth. They finished 31 seasons, 639 episodes. There's a Solfeggio 369, right? So that's all designed. Family Guy, South Park, all of it. It's all out there on the stage. Someone's directing that. You're orchestrating that for yourself to learn during this developmental stage that we've just become aware of, right? Because it's like why they put all the tombstones in the cemeteries. Like the whole earth should just be a cemetery at this point, you know. But it doesn't work like that. So we're in a developmental stage. Like we're correcting our health with our diet. So we're actually growing younger. And that all look at the characters in the Bible. Look at their ages. So it's just a stage of development. You know, I went through that in high school. I had this terrible back pain when I was like 15. Spondylolisthesis, like my vertebrae were offset. Like I could still feel it, but you know, I'd be running around there on the football field. It's like someone shot me in the back. Man, I just fall down in the middle of the play. You know, it was that painful. Rick Robertson called me out after a scrimmage down in Cincinnati, Princeton. He said, "You're a pussy." You know, that gets your attention. I was like, you know, but that was just a growing pain that I had to go through. You know, if you want anyone to do anything, just call them pussies for guys, right? I bet you they'll probably end up trying to do it. You know, the mud flood, hidden history, it's just infinite. It's so vast. When they dug up the mounds all around, you know, who were the mound builders? Well, they said, well, the Indians. But we know that's all junk. But underneath there, they were finding these 7-foot tall, red-headed giants. They had all their Masonic regalia. They had, you know, 6 fingers, 6 toes, double rows of teeth. So yeah, there's been a lot of iterations on the set. You know, so that's just like reading a comic book at this point. But you know, trying to piece all that together in some sort of you know, linear sequence. You know, have fun with that one. People still, the race, you know, the minority. What's the Minority Report? Are copper-colored people really a minority? I mean, look around. I'd say it's like half and half from what I'm seeing around this city in Columbus. So I mean, don't pay your utility bills, see if they'll cut it off. Just say, hey, COVID, there's some advantages to what's going on. Because you don't have to pay that. It's already paid for. You just don't know. You just were a child down here. They want to see if you'll pay again. If you're a pagan, pay it again. So maybe just try it. It applies to rent and everything. It's called a jubilee. Look that up in your Bible there. Every 50 years, all debts are wiped away, right? There's how can you have global debt to who? Some other planet, right? It's just a banking scheme. If you want to, no one asks where money comes from. Watch the Money Masters. But it'll just take you up to, there's the Federal Reserve. Who's on the board of the Federal Reserve? Nobody knows. It's none of your business. The federal building in D.C., it's like a country club. Nobody can get in there. They got tennis courts, swimming pools. So, just be more conscious of you're going to what you're participating in that paper chase, pay, purchase. It's all these, the clues are right there in the words. But get the war chest, get that sealed up, and then as you go about that, you're more conscious of it. And is it breaking the law? There are certain things you're going to need from that system for a while. But just be you're alert to that now. So there's no excuses. There's no one to blame. You're taking care of all your fears. But people they just want something to yell at. They're just so used to it. But this is the next step of that evolution, the real evolution of the heart, to become a real man. You don't need that show anymore. We can sit back and laugh at it, but you got to help people too with this knowledge. That's the responsibility. If you're going to take that on. Right, it's not for everyone. Right, we're talking about 1%. Maybe we got another 19%. That's who you want to hit. Some people just putting out videos. Just take pictures. Get the face-to-face stuff. Kadam had a good one. He was talking about NPCs, non-player characters. They just seem like dead down here. But we know, right? The person, they're playing their role. That's their role in our play. So it's not that they're dead. They just, they're just even keeled. They're going to take orders from whoever. But they're just taking it from that shit show right now. And we have some responsibility for that because we were manifesting that with them to tell them what to do. But we know that they're our border, right? They're one of our bookends pushing us up. And then here on the other side is the spiritual coming in. So that's the end of the world. That's the new world order. Is knowing that. Facial recognition, sure, because we know what's going on. We know why it's doing that. That's what it would do. Sure, we have nothing to hide. Truly. And if you're taking your clues from there, you're going to get shit. I saw like Dr. Oz, CO2, he wears a mask all day. Well, you deserve to get shit information because they're looking for it out there. That's all it can do. That's all it'll give you until you wake up and figure that out. I saw a guy, he just put the mask on 5 seconds. Oxygen went from, it's supposed to be over 20% and dropped to 17%. Like that quick, 5 seconds. I saw Oprah's done. Yeah, it's all done. Because we're catching on to all their nonsense. How many more celebrities do we have to see flashing their signs? That's 666. Okay. All-seeing eye. They're all just taking their cues. That's just another clue for us. They're rooting for us. Like they played their roles in this game. There's nothing else for us to do than step up and embrace all that. Why is it always 666? House Bill 666. Whenever there's a zeros just cancel out. That's the hollowed. Just look at those, the numbers, the operative numbers. See what those are telling you. There's no mistakes in this tapestry. whatsoever. Um, Someone that had, COVID, look up Ovid and the dead Latin, and it's a sheep. We're calling everyone sheep. What we figured out is a covert ID, and then you got to explain the 1-9. Is that artificial intelligence? The A and the I, the first and ninth letter. It's like pull your Elaine clause in there. It means whatever the fuck you want it to mean, right? Because that's how powerful you are. If you think that's something to be afraid of, then that's what you get. But we know that's the 19th vertebrae. That's the golden thread. And we are responsible for those other 80% because they are us. Like that's that personality clusters that come down. It's consistent in every culture that is dealing in this Babylonian financial system. So, I mean, just go look at it. Or go to another country, look around. It's the same stuff. Same ratios. So anything in the on the stage, just get used to that. That is the stage. It's symbolic of something that's real, because nothing comes from nothing. That's why they came up with the Big Bang, right? Doesn't make any sense. What's the Big Bang? It's going on in your head, in your singularity, for eternity. That's it. It's the thought. So we know that. See if anyone's got questions. Jamie Hanskin. I gotta get in touch with Aaron. It's just your whole life is, it's a complex book. There's a lot of sequential stuff, chapters that you've lived through. That's for a reason. It's not this random nilly-willy, meaningless existence. You might think that if you go down that science route. I remember going up in there and like, well, what is consciousness? Do these scientists have that figured out? And the same as always, like right up there to the tip of the mountain, but they can never cross it. Can't get to the top of that mountain on the play. The stage is not going to lead you there. That's for us to get that final piece, to become the authorized writer of our life. That's what it's all about. Not to be tortured by your government, which we know it's just a play. The movies, the government, the sports, it's all tied together. It's our play. The other people you interact with. Went to that restaurant last night. It was a lot better. The staff was all masked up, but none of the patrons were. Sat out, almost felt normal. Whatever we want the culture to become is what it will be. It was pushing too hard for a while there, and you just feel the collective consciousness was like, knock it off, and it did to some extent, right? But it's just giving us time to collect ourselves, share this message. I mean, there's really no argument with this that I can see. We got the Facebook, the faces, that's who we learn from. Go Ogle, Google, it looks at everything. Of course it would. There's no other way that could be. So whoever you're following, I just started catching up on my YouTube videos, see if there's anything new there. Not really, but like Max Egan, he's got a calm voice, but at least he had some hope in his last one I watched. Like there's hope. That's the most powerful human emotion ever. So at least he's coming up with that element in his message, because all these other guys are just mind control, the government, psyops, deep state. I mean, fucking make yourself go crazy going down that rabbit hole. You talked about that. You hit your head on that solid ground. No one's dug below that 8 miles deep in this realm. So just pay attention to what voices you're allowing into your your court, because that's your ultimate responsibility. If that's not something you want to be dealing with, that's you. You're the bouncer. He's not blaming someone else. They're not doing anything to you that you're not allowing in there. There's no one to blame now. It's just that inner work. All your problems go away. All your fears, you mastered those. You're the master of your ship. That's all it was waiting for. Yeah, it was a tough trial. Of course it would be. Nothing good is going to be easy. Right? So good. That's a good system that it tests for that. You know, and your Antifa and your looters and your rioters, and we know what that all is. It's just symbolic out there. You know, what do? I was thinking, catch that bus coming into your town. You know, I mean, put a roadblock. You know, tip it over or something. You know, don't hurt anyone. They're playing their roles. They're getting paid to carry out their role for you. I remember in Ecuador, they didn't mess around, and they just stopped sending food into the city. They put huge dirt piles in the roads, stop all the traffic. Right? That's kind of what this is, right? Stay home and checkpoints, but the rural people were the ones providing for the city people, right? I was in Bolivia, and that was a legitimate protest. Like, they were walking, they came in and they were marching in La Paz and shooting guns up, and I'm like, the bullets got to come down somewhere, right? If it goes up, it must come down. So I was like taking shelter, but you could feel it, that people power, how powerful we are. And when we come together, then that's what makes things happen, makes things change. But it's done right from eye to eye. It's like Jesus just whispered, by the well in the towns. It's just that message is that powerful, that when we work together and get on the same page, but we just weren't ready for it, right? Because we didn't know what we were doing. I see the figuring out their legal process, but then they're breaking the law at the same time. So they can only go so far with that. I don't feel like it's my place to call them out on that. They'll get it eventually, that is what was stopping them. Because that law is, it's comprehensive. All life. Even, plants and stuff are conscious. So how do we, the second wave is coming? Well, where is it going to come? We know. Through the media. Blaring all those messages, all in cue, all in harmony. So we make our own media stream right here. So we have the tools now to do that. So we don't get washed up, wiped away with that. And when you go out there and see 4 out of 5, you're armed with that. Your chest is sewn up. That vibration, that energy, they'll pick up on it. They're just used to taking their cues from the 7/8 cowbell show. But when they feel that someone is in charge that has their best interest in heart, then they will tune up to that. That's their role. That's the NPCs. Yeah, they're human, they're golden threads, but that's not their role. So we don't have to try to wake them up to that. It doesn't accomplish anything. They just need someone to give them the truth. And that's what we have to offer. It's the ultimate gift. And you're giving it to yourself. Through yourself, by yourself, right? You just bring it all around. So, yeah, some of the big channels, though, they're still hitting that fear drum, like boom, like is the government, would it exist just for that reason? We know it has to exist because we're not ready, right? So there's nothing to be upset about there. It makes sense. I mean, you're starting from an infant, right? A single cell. Yeah, you're going to take time to learn, to be molded, to develop, progress. Of course. So it's just standing in at this time in this epic, because our generation hadn't figured this stuff out to take control of our lives, right? And then help themselves. It's that simple. Uh, but yeah, just be careful. What's like little scare are so senseless. I see it like it just morphs to like the scariest thing ever. People are like, oh, it's satanic. That's Luciferian. We covered all of that. Lucifer is just the light bringer. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. They even named a little proto-hominid Lucy for that whole story, which is nonsense, right? Where are all the other chimpanzee fossils? You just don't ask yourself that because you think that's scientific, it's got to be right. There's all these esteemed professors, institutions teaching all this nonsense. But it has to be that way because that's the reflection of God's face. So it's just a realm to experience and ultimately enjoy, and then take satisfaction and pleasure from having mastered that. That's your real work of art, is your life. At every step, every moment. So that is something to be cherished. That's pretty special that we have that. And of course we do, because we're gods. I mean, we're particles of it. So yeah, I think The Simpsons is done. I don't know. They said, oh, Trump's going to get assassinated, but it's like that gambling thing. It'll just snatch right when you think you know what's going on. It will, because that's the shadow, and it's reading that. So it probably won't happen because we're all expecting it to happen. That's just the way that goes down. Got in contact with John. I talked about him yesterday, and just those moments. Those experiences last forever. And so now we're connected, and right. It's we're here to help each other. That's all you are supposed to do. That's all you really can do. So if you're trying to get one over on someone, or someone doing something to you got to just check that right there in that thought before it goes off the bookends down there. Why? That's your permission. You're giving permission to give your power away to something on the stage. That's not what gods do. That we develop past that stage. Right? That's where the real fun is for all of this. Yeah, that's about all I have. If anyone has we have John said, you just watch these videos and the time goes away. Like a lot of videos, I'm like, oh, how many more minutes? Because it's the same song that I've heard over and over. So yeah, you do want it to be over. But if you're not watching the clock on these, then that's a good sign that this might be the good, original message that we were waiting on, to take control of our lives, of our bodies, of our existence, which includes all the life around us. That's a tremendous responsibility. So there are going to be security measures there, but that's not to stop you from accomplishing that. You get up in there and you say, oh, good. That's a good system. I like that. I would have done that. I did design that. Because we did. It's a system of checks and balances, right? If you want to go study the government, it's telling you how your mind works. Everything down here is up there, reflected. Committees, if you're like, oh, the Senate, that's a chessboard and black and white, Masonic, yeah, it is. Your whole body is a Masonic temple. Yeah, some buildings were built and because they had more knowledge. Star forts, nobody knows how those were built. Were they just crystallized? Probably. Giant snowflakes, as above, so below. The smallest drop of water, there's so much information in one cell. I remember the guys came to New Mexico, intelligent design. Of course, we were all, evolutionists, Charles Darwin, and but I was just, what were the arguments? And but they pointed out like the cell is so complex that one part doesn't work without the other parts. So what came first, the chicken or the egg? And I was like, that's a good point. Uh, but I still had more questions. I wasn't ready. I'm still on my journey, asking questions. They even had the Holocaust deniers. I was like, whoa, this was way before I woke up to that. I was like, well, what do they got to say? Were they making lampshades out of skin? No. But kind of a weak arguments, right? Because when I really got into it and you just see like logistically, it's impossible. There's a professor at Northwestern, Arthur Butts, Hoax of the 20th Century. There's a video, I think it's called 1/3 of the Holocaust. I mean, look at the numbers, sixes always. In World War One, they tried it. 6 million, of the Jews. That's just another layer to test you, get caught up. If you look at that, like the Sephardic Jews is a much smaller group. Like all the people in Israel, they came from Russia. I'll dig up some of those books. I mean, that's that history. That's 97% of the Jews. They were speaking Russian in Israel, so they had to switch that out in the schools, and made it illegal to speak Russian and taught the kids the Hebrew. So that's what all that is, and that's a nice place to go visit. I learned from traveling. People in Canada, Europe, like, oh, Israel's beautiful. So what are we watching? What happened to Palestine? That's what Max Egan supposedly snuck into Palestine. But I mean, I just dropped in there on Google Maps. Street viewer, looked around, looks pretty nice. Beirut, right there on the Mediterranean Sea, beautiful. So we don't know that because the media. What do we know about the world is what we're shown through the media. That everywhere I've gone, it's just people helping each other out, trying to get along. Canadian guy told me his favorite place in Central America was all the dangerous one that no one goes to, El Salvador. That's the savior. So, yeah, they don't want Americans down there. Nice Pacific beach, beautiful. So be careful. It's hard to turn that media off, but we create our own media now through these channels. That's what we have them for, specifically. Are you going to have to take a vaccine to participate in that economy, in that commercial system? What? We already have our exemption, right? It's against my religion. Because if you really believe there's something that's man-made to put in your body that is going to give you health, then you fucked up. You broke the law. Because you got something in between the inseparables. That's just in your mind, your imagination. So you got to reel that one in and tighten those up. So anyone that comes at you with that they're an authority, say, where do you derive your authority to tell me what to do with my body? They don't have an answer to that. You can ask a cop, are you on your oath? Because one of the oaths they do take is that to ensure that rule, that if someone is home upstairs, the lights are on in the attic, they back off. Because that's what they're really doing. They just don't know that. But when they're on their oath, that's what it is. They have to respect that. Because that's all that exists. They're not there to terrorize you, make your life hard. They'll be that's why all the defund the police. That's why that always is being floated. Because they're not needed when the man is present. Because the law is just known. That idea will spread, and then there is no need for the police, or they get more specific in where they're operating. It just becomes more and more obvious as we go on through this. So just another thing to look forward to for a new world order. They never say the new world order. It's Anu. It's one of the old, gods. The only constant is change. Remember, you're unique, just like everyone else. So So we have a lot of stuff to look forward to as we progress in our new world order, because we don't have these children's questions anymore. We don't need to see who's on what side, see if someone believes what you believe. Make your little group over here that you're better than that group over there. I mean, I see the masks, and I feel sorry for them. I look them in the eye, see who's in there. They're scared shitless. They don't know, but you can communicate a lot through the eye, the real all-seeing eye. So people still been up on that. Watch parties of some crazy shit, Baphomet shit, but you're permitting that. You're scaring yourself in the movie theater as a little kid. So that's your responsibility. So yeah, come at me, bro. Anyone? I'll answer anything. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I see Lisa's been so conditioned by Christianity that I still have a hesitation to say I am a god, yet I logically know through ancient writings that I am, at the very least, a divine spark of the one God. Exactly. That's what this all was. It's a sifting until you're ready to take that step up and take that responsibility, because that is your purpose. That's our true purpose. We just didn't know that we were in a developmental stage, and that we say namaste to everyone. I recognize the life in you that's in me. That's what that is. But you taking it to heart, like it's a feeling, So yeah, I mean, that you talked about, if you're going to go to church, go for the right reasons, because you're going to see the other parts of God in your fellow man there. I remember when Flat Earth, I got that. I took that around to a few, religious circles. Oh, they were like hands off, because that took away their whole purpose in this life. That they were representative, being your conduit to God. But that's breaking the law, right? You're putting false idol out there, out on the stage, going through this building. It's okay to go there, because the real church is every day, every moment of your life, in that original commerce. So yeah, they didn't want any of that. They didn't want any of that noise, because they were out of a job. Go find another profession. I think those circles have a place, but they just got to get the right message. There's no one closer to God than the God that's in you. Right? It's a little confusing, like, oh, we're gods, plural, we're particles, the golden thread. But yeah, it's that's why I said the Bible needs a warning disclaimer on that, because it's like reading Black's Law dictionary. All these words don't mean that, and everything's a parable, right? So para is outside, and then able, that's your right hemisphere, that's in connection with the spirit. So Cain killed Abel, and now your Colosseum, the Corpus Callosum, that bridge, that's where all that shadow world is being thrown up on the cave, Plato's cave. So it's just something. It's not your enemy. That religious indoctrination, go to the Latin rebound, the liga is a ligament. So but your mind is being rebound to ion, to carry on. That's the energy of the sun. So it's the ultimate honing process. So the gold, we talked about everything is gold. That's what it represents. But the pyramid, the diamond, that's another representation. Everyone has that diamond in them. It's just the surface has become smudged with civilization, with interacting with the samadhi world. So it takes a while to get that polished, honed. So you only see half of the diamond on the set in the pyramids. You don't get the bottom part. And the pyramid is the fire in the middle. That's our fire. That's our electric spark, that conscious awareness. Just like, well, uh, where is God? You can't find it on the set. You can only feel it. That's the only way I knew for sure, was to feel it. I'd asked all the questions that you could ask. And I think, why didn't I get it back then? Because I wasn't ready. I still had fear. I was freaking out, like, this COVID shit. I had to make sense of it. So that was my last, like, really big fear. So I just sat with it, and you can only make yourself afraid. I just had to go right up in there and see what it really meant. And then I was shown some things. That subliminal phase, I was like, we need tools. I need to communicate this. And, I remember 7, 8. I had never even thought of that, But I went and looked into it, and it was a perfect tool to start thinking about what's going on in our perception of the material realm. And that's the only way that it could operate. That's what a loving, compassionate God does. Gives you that experience, that place to mess up. Because it's just a game from that perspective until you get it right. So, yeah, whatever, religious teachings you have, get the good, take the good and leave the bad. I looked up that Gospel of Thomas I was telling, 114 short phrases, each one of them perfect. I mean, you spend a week reading the Bible, but just read Gospel of Thomas like 3 times until you get it. Like, it's all right there. The key points. It's not that complicated. The Bible makes it way too complicated. The legal system is way too complicated. But it's just because it keeps growing like a fungus. But it's all just towards that one end, till you feel it and you know it, and then there's no doubt. Yeah, I never thought I would be a preacher or whatever, trying to reach. But that's what is cool about it, because now you have something to share. That's your responsibility. You see someone suffering, that's you suffering. It's a different way of going about your life. I mean, I was selfish, son of a bitch. But that was my lesson. I had that school of life to figure that out. I'm not gonna feel bad about that. Be grateful. Whatever it is, just figure out how you're grateful for that. I mean, there was one girl in the hospital, and she had a bad relationship with both of her parents. They wouldn't even allow her to call them. I tried to reach her and said, that's your greatest lesson. That relationship right there. So I told her the technique to put herself in her father's place. What was he going through? What did she represent to him? Can she step in there to feel what he was experiencing? Because they're the same life. So she actually had the greatest tool, or 2 tools, both her parents, to master her life. So if you have an enemy, be grateful for that, because that's your best lesson. Challenging one. Everyone knows, like, dogs, if they got your love, they're not interested in you. They want to go seek out other people, see if they can get their love. So humans do that too. If someone is, criticizes you, and then you earn their respect back, then you value that way more than someone who just, oh, you're right, you're the dog. You're like, I got you. I want to go see where else I can gather more love. So in her case, her biggest problem was her greatest gift, to figure herself out and to heal that recycled family trauma. She just didn't see it. I don't know if she got that all the way, but at least I planted that seed. She's got something to work on there. you know, some people it's not that obvious. Some people it's just like a coworker that just gets under their skin. You know, like certain people just get on your nerves. That's the one, because there's something in them that you recognize in you that you want to correct in you. That's why you see it in them. So we're just kicking that one upstairs, right? See how it comes back out. So whatever comes off your tongue, that's your lesson. Whatever comes out of that thought, that's your lesson. So just apply it. You know, now's the time. I'm going to keep saying the same shit, I think, for a while. But the fun is in that application. Apply these messages, these tools in your life, and then help the other people, because everyone's suffering. There's not a single person down here that doesn't have something. You know, we talked about that. It's not about, I saw the guy, you know, like, how do you know there's a heaven? How? You don't really know. You came from heaven and you get to go back to heaven. So why don't you just go right now? If you're so sure about that. Well, is it purgatory? Is it hell? It's whatever you make it. This is it. This is the game. The game of life. It can be all those things simultaneously. But ultimately, that's your responsibility. That's your job. Is that, to work on that. So it's just too bad there's not a rule book. You know, we'll put one together here. Yeah, I mean, you have complicated human relationships, but just practice it in your pets. That's you in there, and they can't not be fooled, right? They don't have all the filters that we have to act right. They're just pure vibration. They already got their love chests sewn up, right? They're here for us, as us. So if you're on this journey, see how that works with your pets or pests. I was like, what is this? Got to feed them on, but no, it's your joy. That's why we love them. So, yeah, just be of service. See, a lot of people, but that's how you really be of service, is do your own work. That's your masterpiece. That's what you have control of. There's no one else that's going to do that for you. You can lead that horse to water, but of course that's the way it would have to be. It's the only way it could be. Because when you're ready for that and you step up and accept that challenge and you seek within and ask with pure heart and pure intentions and love, and you're willing to do the work, it's going to be hard, but it does answer, and you will get what you are really desiring. Because it's not something out there on the set that would just reflect what's coming from inside. That just matches up. That you just get to watch that and enjoy that part of it. You don't have to go out there and worry about what other people are doing, because that's just telling you what you need to work on in yourself. So just application of these timeless teachings, going back, like, yeah, there are people who had this knowledge. There are people now that have it. They just they're not on YouTube. They're not going to be the Dalai Lama. They hint at it. All that stage can do is just hint at it. You dance around, but you're the only one as the representative of God to make that step, and then there's undeniable proof, because you feel it in your heart, in your mind, and then you see the set adjust to that shadow existence, because that's what your mind is, projecting that whole show for you. So, all right. Rebecca said, yeah, the Bible, but right, it's two bells. So that's what we're trying to reconcile here. You have Abel but you have your other hemisphere. So the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing right now. That's why people were breaking that law. But yeah, it's left here as a killer clue. You know, it's way more intelligent than what men could do. People are like, well, did they write it in the 1800s? The Jesuits. Jesuit just means I am. So they're working, doing their job. Did they write the fake history? Yeah, because you need some template to work from. Because your mind can only handle so much. But yeah, I mean, you know, people, oh, Quran, the Allah. There's a lot of systems. They're all patriarchal. So that's another clue that something's missing. Because we all know where we actually entered here. Probably pretty important. Right? Was Mary Magdalene? What's that really? You know, just 2,000 years ago, just update it to the present. Because it's perfectly updated. You just got to kind of decipher. You know, it's just another tool for you to use to get to where you're ultimately going. But there's no, you know, like, they're all Abrahamic religions, the three biggest ones. That's that same template. You know, whichever one you want to go with, whatever is your special day of the week, right? It's every day. It's not one day of the week. That doesn't make any sense. So anything that you separating yourself from, you know, you say, well, we're Christians, we're better than these heathens. Think about that one. Because you know you're responsible for them. They are you. And they will respond to that message, that spiritual hunger. You know, God's word, but every word out of your mouth is God's word. As representatives of that intelligence, that art, you know, grand architect. I was just tripping out that. I mean, look at the ratio. Look at the phi ratio. Like your finger, if you divide the two joints by the third one there, it's 1.61. Your whole body is that. Your whole face. So that's your temple. That's your intelligent design. It's already there. It's right in front of your face. It is your body. No hiding behind anything there. You know, it's a crazy story for kids. Like Christ, and he got tacked to a cross, and it's traumatic. But now we know what that represents, the symbology of it. So it's not so scary. But that's for kids to get acclimated to it. But just need an adult or a six to tell them what that represents. That's why Jesus had to speak through the parables, because it can't reach you directly down here. It just has to hit that mirror, and you see it on the shadow on the wall. So that's the parable, the Bible. So the two hemispheres that come together, and then there's no doubts. The law is just understood, right? That's the art of war, that idea. It cannot be denied. So that's on our side. All right, I love everybody, and just pick it up again. See how it plays out in your interactions on Facebook, at work. I was freaked out. People had that mask on. That was bugging me for a minute. So I had to go in there and sit with it. I mean, 5 seconds and then that oxygen level is down. I mean, that's cognitive impairment right there. So what is the point of that? Why does that make you feel? Because you can't see their face. That's stressful. Like, I don't even know who these people are. You're missing all that information. But that's because they speak no evil. You break the law with your speech. Words are swords. It's the most powerful tool. That's what it represents. But that's who we need to help. That's our responsibility now, that we have this key, this piece of the puzzle to help them help themselves, help you, because we're all in this together. The Golden Fleece. All right, everybody. See you tomorrow.